One. Good morning, everybody. This is TraXXfm, a Trax Midday Buzz with me, Molly, in this segment called What Matters. And today we have a very special guest in the house. We have Dr. Rasyidah. Thank you so much for joining us today. You look so lovely.
You too.
Thank you. I love the feminine energy, the woman empowerment aura that you bring into the studio today. It just pumps me up.
Thank you so much.
All right. So let me just give a brief. So we have Dr. Rasyidah today, and she is the director of e-Invoicing Division, Tax Operations Sector, Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia, Hasil. And let me just talk about it. So our topic for today is e-Invoice as VDP promotes voluntary compliance, what businesses need to know. So basically this topic, please correct me if I'm wrong, Doctor, it's centered around tax filing for business owners, am I right?
It's more like a submission of their transaction, the business transactions.
Right, the
So
submission.
in a way, it will be with the reporting for the businesses.
Okay, reporting for the businesses. So that's what we're talking about today, especially for business owners. You know, instead of just thinking about the marketing and stuff, this is one of the things that you cannot run away from. Okay, so let's move on to the topic, right? Sorry, the questions. So, Doctor, as we know, the implementation of e-invoicing in Malaysia has been carried out in phases since the 1st of August 2024 and is part of the country's broader digital transformation efforts. So, can you please share with us the objectives behind this initiative, why the government introduced e-invoicing, and the benefits that the businesses and taxpayers should understand as they transition towards this new system?
Okay. Thank you, Mali. First of all, I will also like to thanks to RTM to
Okay.
give this opportunity so that we can speak more in terms of e-invoice in more relaxed way.
Yes.
So before we discuss further about the topic, the SVDP topic, as you mentioned, I'm sure that the listener today, it might coming from the businesses,
Yes.
all sides of the businesses. So maybe I can just recap in terms of the why the government is actually introduced this initiative and also the benefit to the businesses, because we receive a lot of questions. What are the rationales that the government is actually try to introduce this e-invoice initiative? Is actually the government introduced this initiative in line with the Rancangan Malaysia ke-12 and also further to Rancangan Malaysia ke-13 is actually to support the digitalizations of the business operation to enhance the business ecosystems in Malaysia. So that, as you mentioned just now also, this initiative of e-invoice is actually implemented in phases. It's not a big bang, it's a phase implementation. We have 4 phases, which is started with the larger businesses since 1st August 2024. So the businesses with the turnover revenue more than 100 million, they start first. And now it progressively into the other businesses, the smaller businesses, which is for those who have turnover revenue 1 million up to 5 million. Is considered as a phase 4, which is they started 1st January 2026. And for this implementation, Mali, the government also consider this is a new initiative, so they have a relaxation period. So the relaxation period are given 6 months for each phases, but different for the smaller one. For the phase 4, which is currently implementing it as a mandatory basis, which is they are given 24 months relaxation period, starting from 1st January 2026 until 31st December 2027. So
Okay.
meaning that for during this relaxation period, so it is not the extension of time, but they need to issue a consolidated e-invoice. They combine all the transaction within the month and they
Okay.
submit as a consolidated invoice first until 7th of the following month. In summary, it's actually they submit a monthly submission for this e-invoice implementation. So easier
Yeah.
for them to continue to embrace this digitalization.
Yeah.
And just to share also, Mali,
Yes.
since we start 1st August 2024, we already received more than 1.78 billion e-invoice. It's actually coming from all the taxpayers, more than 264 4,000 taxpayer, about 264,000 taxpayer already implement this e-invoice. So you can see that it is a positive feedback. People are accepting this e-invoice for their day-to-day business operation because of the benefit that they can see. Let me share the benefit from the perspective. Maybe I can put it in summary, perspective in terms of operation perspective and also financial perspective. So in terms of operational perspective, this invoice is actually to support to streamline their business operation. So instead of they submit or they sending the invoice in the manual transaction, they move to the electronic e-invoice. So easier for them to track all the transaction because all the transaction also can be accessed through the system. Instead, all you need to find where's the manual documentation. At the end of the day, before you submit the tax return form, we also need to fine tune all your documentation for preparation of the financial statement. And of course, it will reduce the manual interventions, human error, because everything is done through the system instead of the manual process as well. So that's the benefit if you look at from the perspective, the operation perspective.
Yeah.
And of course, it will reflect into the financial perspective as well, which is it will reduce the cost, the operational cost, the cost of for the record keeping. Instead of you need a storage, you need a paper, then you move to the digital format. It's easier for you to trace also the documentation as well.
Yeah, and may I add something, Doctor? Please correct me if I'm wrong. The way that I'm seeing it is that it saves a lot of time too.
Yeah, I think because previously, if they have a transactions as a manual process, they need time to focus on the documentation.
Yes.
But when they move to the electronic invoice, the e-invoice is actually, it will be through the system itself.
Yes.
So meaning that the business can save time and they can focus more on their business operation.
It's true.
They can focus more on the growth of the businesses. If someone is doing business, of course I know that objective is actually they want to have a more profitable businesses. I mean, like they need to focus more on their operationals, the marketing and so on.
Yes.
So that will be a cost benefit for the businesses.
Yes, I agree too. And as you mentioned just now, because you file things up and it's easier for you to trace because it's in the system.
Correct. I mean, of course, by law, the responsibility to keep the record still under the taxpayer itself. But by implementing this e-invoice through the system, because the validation will be done by Hasil, so they can access through the system the documentations, whether they receive the invoice, whether they submit the invoice up to 2 years. So at least easier for them to manage their complete years of the documentation instead of they need to find where is the documentation, the manual documentation as well. So it is a part of helping the businesses that they can see it's beyond the compliance that they can benefit from implementing this invoice.
All right. Okay. So for the listeners who just tuned into TraXXfm, we're actually interviewing Dr. Rasyidah, and the topic today is e-Invoice. SVDP promotes voluntary compliance. What businesses needs to know. Okay. So let's move on to the next question, Doctor. So from Hasil's experience, what are the key areas that businesses should pay attention to when implementing e-invoicing? And what advice can Hasil provide to help them avoid common pitfalls?
Okay. I think we acknowledge every businesses, regardless of their turnover, regardless of their revenue, they will have their own challenges, especially when implementing this new initiative. Like for example, for the larger businesses, maybe they also need to have a more complex transaction. But for the smaller one, they need to have more information before they can implement this e-invoice. So that we are here to support the businesses for this transition from the conventional reporting into this electronic invoice, the initiative or this implementation. We have provided the guidelines to our e-Invoice microsite. So our advice is actually the businesses, when they want to start doing this e-Invoice, they can go through the details that we provide to the guidelines, so they will understand the requirement they need to know what they need to submit.
May I ask? Sorry.
Consolidation.
All right. Where can they get this guideline?
Okay, they can go through the www.hasil.gov.my, and there will be a tab for this e-Invoice. You can see there as e-Invoice microsite. So all the information is actually there. If they want to get the guidelines, we update through the guidelines. We also have a communication there. And let's say they want to use our portal, because we also provide a free portal for the businesses. We also provide a video step-by-step guidance, so they can access to the our e-Invoice microsite.
Lovely. Sorry to cut you there, Doctor.
No, it's okay. You can ask the question. Hopefully, it will share some information to the listener.
Yes,
today.
yes. Yeah, because sometimes, they would want to, I want to do e-filing, but I don't know how, because not everybody's literate. I mean, including me, sometimes we need guidelines too. So I'm glad that you actually shared it with us. So you can just go to
hasil.gov.my.
Yeah, hasil.gov.my, and then you can just look through the website, and there's guidelines and whatnot provided.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we need guidelines.
I think Mali, of course, if you ask about the common error, what taxpayer, especially for those or the businesses want to start to implement this e-Invoice, maybe they thought that, as I mentioned earlier, this is a phased implementation. There is a relaxation period, so they thought that maybe they don't need to submit the invoice yet, but it's actually they need to submit as a consolidated invoice. So this is the chance, is actually the timing that the government also introduced a new initiative, to ease the burden of the taxpayer, especially in terms of the compliance, so that they can do their health check, because maybe they have missed some of the invoice to be submit as a e-Invoice, or maybe they start late and there is a invoice that they does not submit yet.
Yeah.
So due to that, the government has made an announcement on 7th of July, which is, we call it as a voluntary disclosure, special voluntary disclosure program for e-Invoice. The SVDP, starting 7th of July 2026 until 31st December 2027.
Okay. So let me just, because I remember you mentioned the word relaxation period many times.
Okay.
So can we just rephrase it again? So relaxation period, correct me if I'm wrong, Doctor, it's not that it's a pause moment, right?
Yes.
You're supposed to
implement
relaxedly put in
the leave. I mean, like, how they submit is more relaxed compared to the guidelines that we provide during the early stage of the implementation, during this relaxation period.
So relax does not mean you don't file in. It means you do it do it. Yeah, you still do it,
but you can issue as a consolidated invoice.
Okay, we have to really remember that, so we really understand what relax means. Thank you so much for putting that in, Doctor. Okay, so I just want to get back on what happened, the SVDP, as you mentioned, from the 7th of July up to the 31st of December. Can you talk about that again? Sorry.
Oh, okay. So as this implementation is actually a phased implementation, but we received the feedback from the taxpayer. They are worried if they make any wrong submission or they make any mistake for the previous transaction, what they need to do. I mean, like, would there be penalized for the wrong submission.
Yes, that's what we
That's the
fear.
worry from the taxpayer. So that the government is actually introduced this SVDP. I call it
Yes.
as SVDP, easier
Okay.
for us to mention,
Okay.
for this e-invoice, so that the taxpayers can correct any transaction, or if they miss to submit the transaction during this period, without the penalty. So that's why we would like to encourage the businesses. Okay, first, taxpayer who already implement e-invoice, but they missed to submit some of the transaction previously, so that they can also come forward to issue e-invoice during this period for those transaction. Or maybe they already need to implement as a mandatory implementation, but they start late. Or maybe they just find out, oh, I didn't start yet, but
Yeah.
I need to start to implement this invoice.
Uh-huh.
So they also can take this opportunity as well. And if the taxpayer already submit the transaction, but it's actually, they find out the transaction is actually contain the wrong information. And if the audit, the taxpayer already in the process of audit activity as well. Maybe they receive an audit letter from Hasil. They also can mention they want to join this SVDP. So what's the benefit of this SVDP is actually, if all the taxpayer that I mentioned just now submit the e-invoice during this period for those transactions, there will be no enforcement activity for the taxpayer, including there's no penalty for them.
So the period would be from the 7th of July up until the 31st of, 7th of July 2026 up until the 31st of December 2027.
Later.
Wow.
Yeah, this one is actually because during this SVDP, they still have a normal transaction that are currently undergoing by the business process. That one they can submit as usual. But for those past transaction, they need to correct or they miss to issue, they can submit using a version that we create during this SVDP program, which is version 1.2 and also version 1.3. What's the difference is actually one with the digital signature, one is without digital signature. They also can use our portal because we have provide a free portal. If you don't have any system, you can just use our My Invoice portal for the submission. So as long as they join this program, you can have more details through our guideline as well. But if they join this program, there will be no penalty. So they don't have to worry. Previously, they worried, I want to correct it. I know there is a mistake, but what happened next? Whether audit will come to us and there will be a penalty.
Yeah.
So now you can confirm. As long you submit in a good faith, you
Yeah.
accept in a good faith, then there will be no penalty. There will be no enforcement for the taxpayer for these e-invoice submissions.
All right. So I have a question then. So this, I forgot how to say it, meaning from the 7th of July.
SVDP?
Yes, the SVDP.
Okay.
Right. So it's from the period would be 7th of July 2026 up until next year, 31st of December 2027. And for you to correct and start...
Any invoice, any transactions.
May I know from when?
From the mandatory implementation date.
From the 1st of August 2024?
For the phase 1, will
Yeah.
start from 1st August 2024.
Ah.
If let's say you are the second phase, is actually they will start 1st January 2025. So whatever transactions that was starting from the mandatory timeline, they can come to us and do the correction. They can self-correct their transactions
Okay.
without worrying for the penalty.
Okay, so the transactions has to be within this
period.
This
correct.
period. Okay, and it has to be done within the period as you mentioned just now.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat it again. 7th of July 2026 up until the 1st of December, 31st of December 2027.
Yeah.
These are really crucial information.
And to just to give a clarity for the listener and also for the businesses, because this SVDP program is for those who want to correct their previous transactions. But at the same time, the businesses also have their current transactions, so they still can continue to issue as an e-invoice as usual. But let's say next month they find out, oh, I missed something that I need to issue as an invoice. They still have time to correct this transaction without any penalty as well.
Okay, so meaning that this SVDP is like I don't know if is it right, like a grace period for people to adapt, for business owners to adapt e-filing, right?
For the e-invoice.
Sorry, e-invoice. My bad, e-invoice.
Yes.
My turn.
It's actually that's the intention, because this is still considered a new implementation, the new initiative, and us here from Hasil also, this is a part of the education for the businesses so that they can embrace the digitalization. Because if you're talking about the digitalizations, the AI, you cannot go back to the previous era, right? We still need to move forward. So this is the time that they also can adapt the digitalization for the purpose of benefit of the business itself. So at the same time, we also want to encourage them. They will do the self-check. If there is any, like for example, the taxpayers, they have a transactions for the business transaction, they already issue as a e-invoice, but they miss some of other transaction. Let's say they have a rental income, they didn't issue as a e-invoice. So this is the time for them to take this opportunity to issue whatever that they missed to issue as a e-invoice without any penalty. They don't have to worry about the penalty.
Yeah, we all thank you so much for emphasizing on that, because penalty is something that I believe the listeners are worried about as well. So thank you so much for voicing that out. All right, everybody, if you just tuned in, this is TraXXfm. We are in the segment called What Matters, and we have Dr. Rasyidah in the house, and we're talking about the e-invoice. SVDP promotes voluntary compliance, what businesses need to know. All right. We have a question.
Okay.
This is from one of our listeners. And why is it that LHDN even offers something like this? What's in it for them? Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to the what we want to help the taxpayers, the businesses, is actually as a part of the education. We know that once they start a new initiative, they might be facing their challenges. So this is a time for them to look back and do the self-correction, do the health check, because now maybe they are quite comfortable in terms of implementing this e-invoice, but they know at the early stage of the implementation, there would be a here and there is a missed transaction as an invoice. So this is why the government is actually helping for them to reduce their cost of compliance as well, so that they can make sure that their documentations, their transaction is in order, easier for the businesses later on when they do the financial reporting before they submit the tax return form as well. And it's actually there's also benefit if, let's say, Mali, you're not doing a business. You're not the businesses who need to issue e-invoice for the transaction, but you are the buyer. You will be a buyer, so you just need to provide your information. You can also request for invoice from the supplier or the businesses. Why? Because once you request for invoice, let's say you purchase a book, you also want to claim the book for the submissions for your tax return form, right?
Yeah.
So that you need to keep the receipt,
the
normal receipt.
Yeah.
So once you request for e-invoice, you just need to give a basic informations, the IC number, the tax identification number, but they also can use a general TIN as well. So that once you receive this e-invoice, you can just go to the My Invoice portal.
Okay.
So you can see the transactions, the purchase of this book through the My Invoice portal. So easier for you to check the transactions without you need to keep the receipt. The receipt later on also, the carbon also, you cannot see the writing, the amount, the total and everything. So this is why we introduced this the e-invoice implementation for the for the benefit of the supplier, for the benefit of the buyer as well.
Yeah, I remember there was one time I bought books and I can't remember, but there's, what do you call that, online receipts.
Yeah,
They would
online.
email it to your email, so I think it's
That
very
one is
convenient.
online receipt is actually considered as a receipt.
Yes.
It's still a PDF copy. So that one you will not go through your portal. So you still need to keep the documentation. But through this e-invoice, you can just go to the portal. All the information is there. So easier for you to track the transactions up to 2 years from the date and time of the validation. So whenever time for you to do the submission of the tax return form, you can just check this information. But we actually have a new initiative as well. We also want to pre-fill this information that you request for e-invoice to the tax return form. So we consider as a pilot program, which is for the year assessment 2026. If you request for e-invoice, we will pre-fill this information, the specific information to your tax return form. Let's say you purchase a laptop, you purchase a book, so this information will be appear to your tax return form later. So you can just confirm whether it is correct, and then you can do the submission. So easier for everyone is actually to manage their tax return form later. But still, we consider as a pilot. We also want to hear what are the other feedbacks from the businesses and also the buyers.
Yes. Okay. That is really good information. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm smiling now. Okay. Let's move on to the questions. We don't really have much time left for here. Okay. Now here's something that connects business compliance directly to everyday individuals. And so there's talk of LHDN pre-filing personal income.
The one that I mentioned just now? Yeah.
Yeah.
The pre-fill information.
Right. Okay.
But it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. You as a buyer, this is the time. Because now it's August. You still have time to request for the invoice, because whatever transaction that happened during the current year, we will pre-fill to your tax return form. So that's the example. If you purchase anything for the purpose of the tax claim as a buyer, which is good for you to provide your information, and the supplier can directly issue e-invoice to you. Now, if you go to the shop, most of the businesses, especially the larger one, they will provide you with a QR code. If you want to request for invoice, you just scan the QR code, you provide a basic information, then you can check to the portal, the My Invoice portal, the transaction is there. If you can check through your My Invoice portal as well, your electric bills, your telephone bills, those are the information that you want to use later, like the telco, the broadband, to submit your tax return form. So we will pre-fill those information as well to the year assessment 2026. As long you request for invoice. If you don't request for invoice, you need to input manually that information.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you so much for repeating that again. Okay.
There's a lot of information, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of information, and especially from useful. And I do hope listeners could benefit as well. I mean, for me, because you're in the room with me, so I'm really getting, those electrons are really moving here. So I'm like really listening to you. Thank you so much. Okay. So, when you implement a change, it's not, I would say, it's not easy for people to accept or receive. Though it's a good change, it takes time for people to adapt to it, right? So, what message would you like to share with businesses that are concerned about adapting to this new digital system?
Okay, so I think as a businesses, don't look at it as a compliance only. It's actually the benefit is way more than the compliance itself, which is to encourage the businesses to increase their efficiency, the effectiveness of the business operation, and also for them to manage in terms of the digitalization of overall business as well. So once the businesses already implement this e-invoice, they can focus more in terms of the growth of the business itself. because of the time saving, and also, of course, when they have a proper reporting, proper financials reporting, easier for them also to get a loan. Bank also will see the strong financial reporting as well. So please take this opportunity. Maybe I forgot to mention, but the government also give the relaxation for those who have the turnover revenue less than 1 million. They are currently exempted from implement this e-invoice, but we encourage them because of the benefit said just now, for them to start implement it as a voluntary basis as well.
Okay. All right. Wait, hold on. Taking notes actually. Okay. All right.
To make it short,
okay.
For everyone
Yes.
to get the informations, just go through our microsite, e-invoice microsite, www.hasil.gov.my to get the details of the guidelines. But we also provide a free seminar. Also, you can register through our e-invoice microsite. And if you if you have any question, we also have a dedicated help desk that we provide to all the taxpayers. They can just call our help desk at 682-8000, and also they can go to myinvoice@hasil.gov.my, our email, so that any questions related to the My Invoice, they can just email us and we will look into the details to provide the feedback to the businesses. This one is specific to the any question related to the implementation of this invoice.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing everything. I mean, I feel very honored and lucky to have you answering questions directly from me. And well, we are running out of time, unfortunately, but there's just so many. I just love the conversations with you because you make people like me, who's not literate when it comes to tax, understand what's going on, especially when it comes to e-invoicing. That's what's happening. We'll never know. Maybe in time I might have a business, or maybe our listeners might want to open up a business and whatnot. So this information that I'm receiving from you, especially directly from here in the studio, is so beneficial. And well, it's so empowering too, to be honest. So, okay, before we end the day, is there anything else that you'd like to add to our listeners here at TraXXfm?
Okay, so for this e-invoice for the businesses out there,
Yes.
you can start doing a health check, and of course, if you have any further questions, I know that there will be a specific questions. You can just feel free to contact us, and also we also have our people at the state office as well. If you want to see a face-to-face interaction, you can go to our office as well. But I know that when we talk about Gen Z and new businesses, they would like to have online conversation. So that's why we have a 24/7 help desk, a dedicated help desk for this e-invoice. So take this opportunity to understand more about this e-invoice. It will benefit for the businesses and also the buyer as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Doctor, for tuning in to TraXXfm, and we really hope to have you again here.
Thank you so much, Mali.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.